This is the injury report presented by NYU Langone Health. Giants linebacker Micah McFadden avoided the worst case scenario when x-rays on Sunday ruled out the initial fear of a broken leg. You guys saw the play against the Commanders, but he has been ruled out for a significant amount of time. In today's injury report, we're talking with Dr. Daniel Kaplan, legend, the greatest sports orthopedic surgeon. You told me to intro you like that, so I had to, man.
I don't know. Everyone's doing it. Thanks, Brandon. I don't know.
Absolutely love it. All right, so let's talk about Micah McFadden, man, because he's in the midst of a contract year. That was a scary injury. Luckily, like they said, no break, but he is going to be out for a while, and he's also going to need surgery. So, Doc, since there's no break, why is he going to need surgery, and what type of foot injury could he be dealing with?
Yeah. So, a couple things. So, while he doesn't have a broken bone, we always think about a broken bone as the worst type of thing you can have, but there's a lot of other injuries you can have, particularly to the soft tissues, which can be just as devastating, particularly for athletes. So injuries to tendons and ligaments may not show up on an x-ray, but still might require either a lengthy recovery process or surgery to get players back in the game. In terms of what that injury is, we'll probably get into it in some of the other questions. It's still a little bit of a black box, though.
Okay, so you mentioned he could be out like for a extended length of time. That's exactly what the team says, a significant amount of time. Given the position he plays, linebacker, you got to be able to take on fullbacks, linemen. You got to be explosive. How long is the timeline we could be thinking that he could be out?
Yeah, so that sort of gets to what we were alluding to before in terms of it really depends what that injury is. At least when I was looking last night, so far they only keep saying foot injury, foot surgery. So that could be a couple different things. I think most likely if they mean sort of ankle, that's like a high ankle sprain. That's what's called a syndesmotic injury, where you have injury to the ligaments that connect those two bones. I think that might be the most likely because he got up when he came off the field, they put him in an air cast, and that would be the type of thing that holds the sides of your ankle together. So that would be my guess. For a high ankle sprain, that's the earliest you can start getting back into practice after surgery for that would be 5 to 6 months or 5 to 6 weeks, and then another few weeks with getting into practice. So probably 10 to 14 weeks earliest would be he'd be able to come back for.
That's absolutely unfortunate for this kid because, again, like I had mentioned, he's in the contract year. He's coming off of back-to-back seasons with over 100 tackles. He's been a staple in that Giants defense these last couple years. So are there any alternative treatments, I guess, that are non-surgical that could have been considered? And what's the risk that surgery doesn't get him back to playing like Micah McFadden, you know?
Yeah, and like you said, it's hard. He's an explosive player, and all of that explosion starts with pushing off from the foot. So if that's not working, he's not going to be the type of player he was. In terms of the types of treatments, again, it kind of depends a little bit on what the nature of his specific injury is. When we have more information, I can give you a better answer. If it's that type of high ankle sprain, there are non-operative treatments. It all comes down to, like most things, stability. So if some people have that same injury, but their bones are held together by some of the other soft tissue restraints, then you can treat that non-operatively and probably come back a lot sooner, closer to like 4 to 6 weeks. But if he has the type of injury where so much of what's holding the bones together is torn that he needs surgery, then it's the type of thing where only surgery could fix that.
Okay, that brings us to our next question because that is Micah McFadden, pro NFL linebacker. Again, we don't know the exact diagnosis, but if a non-pro athlete was referred to your office, the greatest surgeon in NYU Langone history, with the same situation and type of injury, how would you handle it being the legend that you are, and what advice would you give to that patient?
Just letting you know I'm recording all of this and putting it on every website that's ever existed.
And LinkedIn, throw it up on LinkedIn as well.
I would treat them the same. So
Okay.
at NYU, of course, we treat everyone like our high elite level athletes, but it really comes down to that stability. So if someone comes in with this injury and on special x-rays where we literally, it's called a stress x-ray, where you push their foot in a certain direction to see if those bones move under an x-ray. If they do move, then I would fix that, whether they're a weekend warrior, elite athlete. But if it's stable, then that's the type of thing you can treat with a boot for after, non-operatively. So it always comes down to the patient and the severity of the injury, more so necessarily than the level that they're trying to get back to.
All right, Doc. That was legendary, man. Appreciate you hopping on with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me, buddy.